This is part 2 of my birth story, an essential part, a part that describes the consequences of prolonged labor on the baby and the parents. Now, if you've not watched the part 1, then it's highly recommended that you watch the part 1 for a clearer understanding of what is going to happen next. The link is in the description box. So let's start with this one.
My name is Gurpreet Kaur Sanyal and welcome to Momentum Women, where we support you in your fertility, prenatal and postpartum journey.
So after my delivery, I was taken to the room. And the feeling that I had at that point of time was all mixed together. I was happy, elated, disappointed, shocked, all at once. But it was a life-altering event for me, for anyone. So I was just waiting in the room. I was told that I should keep my head covered and I should not lift my upper body for the next 24 hours, which I did not do. I did not cover my head and I lifted my body after like 12 hours, I guess. So I was just waiting for my baby, and my baby came after like 3 hours to the room. He had to go through all the tests, all the procedures. When I saw my baby, I really thought that I am going to be like every other mother on Insta or on social media, defining love at first sight, defining the bond that they create with their baby right away. And I felt shame. I felt bad that I was not able to create a bond. I looked at the baby. I was happy. I could die for that baby. I was so happy that I am the mother of this child. But that instant connection, that bond thing, that love at first sight that people often talk about, it really took time for us, for my baby and I. It took like 1.5 months. So why I'm sharing this with you is if a mother goes through it, if a mother takes time to bond with the baby, to adjust with the new lifestyle, or the baby takes time to adjust to the new surroundings, it's completely natural. It's not a rule that you have to literally fall in love with the baby at once and the bond is created within a second. People take time, and it's all right. And it does not mean that you're not a good mother. You're a good mother. You deserve it all. You deserve the baby. You deserve the happiness. You're just taking your time to adjust to the new lifestyle after a life-altering event. That's it. So having said that, let's come back to the story. The next day, my husband helped me walk a little bit. Now, I couldn't defecate, so they gave me medicines. But when the medicines acted, there was no one in the room. My son had gone to take his sponge bath and my husband was out. And there was just no one in the room, so I had to rush all by myself to the washroom to defecate. Now that I tell people that after a C-section, I was able to go to the washroom all alone the very next day, they're all surprised. But over here, I would like to give the credit to prenatal yoga, because I think I did prenatal yoga, so my recovery was really fast. We were in the hospital for about 3 days for recovery. Now, on the 3rd day, we learned that our baby has jaundice. And at that point of time, we did not know that kids, when they're born, they can have jaundice, most of them. The doctors told us that they would only take like a day to heal him. And he can be admitted to the NICU and we can go home. So we went back home. It was disappointing, of course, that we did not get the baby when we entered the home. But it was okay. I think at the back of our mind, we knew that it was for the good of our baby. So we were okay with that. But then in the evening, we received a call from the hospital that the baby has fever, 103, and we should go and see the doctor. We of course, rushed to the hospital, and the doctor was not available at that time, the main doctor. So we were told that the main doctor, will be available the next day, and we should be there to meet him. But we saw the baby, everything was fine, so we went back home. The next day, we decorated the house, and we thought that we were going to get our baby. And we went, but the story was completely different. We met the main doctor, and the main doctor was really aggressive in his approach. And he told us that the baby has fever and he has infection. So they would immediately have to do a lumbar puncture. They would have to insert a needle in the baby's spine and check if the infection has reached his brain or not. It was shocking for us, as it would be for any other parent. But at that time, we could not understand anything, that what's really happening. Within 5 minutes, they explained everything. They made us sign a paper that allowed them to do the procedure. We signed the paper, we came out of the NICU, and we sat in the hospital thinking, what is really happening? Because when these things strike, you have no idea, have no clarity. Especially when the doctors say that it's life-threatening and it's your baby. What do? You say yes to every procedure. But when I was sitting outside, I thought, this is not good. This is not how it's supposed to happen. We were supposed to take the baby back. Now we are getting the information that he has infection, and the infection was due to the prolonged labor that I had. There were different tests being done, culture tests and his blood tests of different kinds, and all of the stats were just high. So I understand that they would have to keep him in NICU and cure him, but a lumbar puncture was just too extreme. Of course, my husband and I, we were discussing, we were crying, things were too emotional, we did not have clarity of what was going on. But we had this voice inside that, don't puncture his spine. Oh, that's something that is not required right now. We can take a second opinion. So we told them that we don't want this. We don't want this procedure to be done. And they were okay with it. They said, okay, but if the baby is not going to respond to the medicines well, they would have to do a lumbar puncture. I mean, at that moment, I thought that it was not required. Of course, I doubted myself. So I got a clarity from another doctor. Another doctor told me that it's just to see how long the medicines should be given. Should it be 14 days or 21 days or whatever number of days? But they wouldn't alter the medicines given to the baby. And that made me sure that procedure was really not required. First, see if the baby is responding to the medicines really well. If not, then you go ahead and do extreme procedures. So that's something that we had to stop them from doing. We were, of course, scared to death, but we knew that our baby has to be in the NICU because he has to be cured. So we were looking for second opinions too. But at that point of time, the baby was in the NICU. I was told that the baby would be getting medicines 3 times in a day. I was allowed to give him my breast milk. I was supposed to pump the breast milk and give it to him. I was also told that I shouldn't be touching the baby. It was understood, it's all right. I shouldn't be giving the germs to the baby. And we can see the baby in the morning and in the evening. So for the next few days, this is what we did. We used to go in the morning and evening. And the rest of the time, I sat at home and pumped breast milk and blamed myself. Blamed myself for not getting a C-section done earlier. It was 21 hours of labor that I did. And if I had known that the infection that the nurses were talking about, it's the infection of the baby. I think I would have gotten a C-section done at around 1. So I did not have a clarity of what can happen with the baby. And thankfully, I knew that what postpartum blues or depression can be. I started crying every time. All the symptoms matched that perhaps I'm borderline postpartum depression at this time. I was not allowed to see my baby any given time. I was not allowed to touch my baby. My baby was struggling. I could see needles poked inside my baby, and he was getting medicines, and I already had a C-section. I had to travel in the morning and in the evening to see my baby. It was really bad. It was a bad time. So at that time, I knew that perhaps I can go in postpartum depression, and I had to pull myself out of it. I voiced it out. But at that point of time, I think the focus was only on the baby. The baby should be fine. So that also kept me going, and that also made me motivated towards just waking up in the morning and doing whatever that I could to just get the baby home. Every third day, he had blood tests, and he was responding to the medicines really well. So they allowed the baby to go into a room within the hospital. So I got myself admitted to the hospital to be with the baby, and my husband was, of course, taking care of the cat, taking care of everything else. And I was there for about 2 days, and then we were allowed to go home. He responded really well to the medicines. When we were dismissed, we were also told that for the next 4 days, you would have to come to the hospital and get the medicines done, as in the drips and everything that the baby was getting. So for the next 4 days, in the morning and in the evening, we used to go to the hospital. And then, thankfully, he came out fine. He's a healthy baby. He's a blessed baby. We are blessed. And I'm really grateful to everyone. I'm grateful to the doctors. I'm grateful to the understanding that we had, that what to do and what not, because people can really lose clarity in these situations. And we are very thankful to our family and friends who could guide us. Why I made a part 2 was to tell everyone, whosoever is watching, that you shouldn't be stuck with the idea of a natural birth. You should just accept the circumstances and do whatever's best for the baby and the mother. This was a life-altering event for me. Everything changed after this event. And this is the understanding I have now. No matter what you do, no matter what choices you make, it should only be about the mother and the baby. Whatever keeps the mother and the baby healthy, happy, good, do that. Not always that things will go per your plan. And that's okay. It's just about what's the next right step that you take in your journey. And I would just say that in your fertility, prenatal, and postnatal journeys, so what is the next right step that you can take for yourself, for your family, for your baby, everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you reached so far, I would request you to please subscribe to the channel. This channel is dedicated to helping women with fertility, prenatal, and postnatal journeys. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.